One of the greatest things about movies is that they can make the seemingly impossible possible. They turn figments of our imagination into reality, and they can take us to worlds that don't even exist. One of the ways they do this is through the magic of VFX. Okay, well, not actual magic, but a series of computers, green screens, and seriously talented artists, to name a few. In this video, we will take a sneak peek at some of the behind-the-scenes footage of our favorite iconic scenes before the use of CGI. These are some of the greatest visual tricks that make up the movies we love. One series that relies heavily on VFX is, of course, the MCU and the Avengers, because, as you know, giant purple aliens and men with spider abilities don't actually exist, that we know of, and therefore need the help of CGI to bring them to life. Otherwise, we may actually have to settle for dance battles instead of epic action sequences. One of the biggest examples of this is the end battle in Avengers Endgame, with incredible VFX being used to bring alien hordes, winged horses, and Wakandan armies to life. The scale is massive, and the battle is an epic conclusion to a sensational franchise. But none of these adjectives can be used for what the scene looks like before the use of VFX. Instead of giant armies charging at one another, we see two groups movie running at one another, with the numbers slightly larger than the overall audience for the John Travolta Gotti movie. Seriously, did anyone see that? The whole battle is hugely less impressive with vast amounts of green screen, motion capture suits, and huge lights. But there is one image that looks cool regardless of the background, and that is Cap holding Mjolnir, because that always looks badass. Let's swing over to one of the most notable Avengers, Spider-Man. One of the main things the numerous iterations of Spidey has are awesome visuals and CGI, and for the most part, Sam Raimi's trilogy holds up in terms of effects. That obviously hasn't changed with the updated technology and the massive budget Marvel has at its disposal, and both Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home have incredible visual elements. An example of this is the Washington Monument scene in Homecoming. The tech gurus at Marvel recreated the monument through a mixture of green screen and recreation. It was also brought to life by their star. Tom Holland may play Spider-Man, but he's also a bit of a daredevil, as he performed a majority of his own stunts in the scene, scaling walls and leaping off the peak of the building with the help of wires, of course. The result is terrific and really throws you into a fun and exciting scene, although I'm not sure how enthusiastic Tom was about it. One of the most impressive things about Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park is that despite it being filmed during the early days of CGI, the results are still stunning and hold up to this day. Primarily, the scene where the Tyrannosaurus Rex breaks free and chases our star Jeff Goldblum, which I feel like is borderline treason. But as you know, we don't have dinosaurs around anymore, and judging by these movies, that probably won't happen anytime soon. So, the wily minxes of CGI imposed the iconic T-Rex into the famous scene after the fact, with the set being physically made to look like an actual dinosaur was running through it. Thankfully for us, Goldblum makes it out of the scene alive and gives us the even more iconic unbuttoned shirt scene later on. In the words of George Takei, oh my. Avatar is a movie where the whole thing is an example of amazing effects, with the world of Pandora and the Na'vi being brought to life by incredible VFX. It is made even more sensational by the shots of behind-the-scenes action where there is so much green you'd think that you were in a bowl of guacamole. One of the most impressive scenes is the first flight scene where Sully rides a mountain banshee for the first time, soaring through the air in an incredible sequence. But the behind-the-scenes take doesn't look quite so special, with actors attached to ropes and basically thrown against walls. Yeah, not quite as glamorous as mountain banshees, but the result is impressive and the visuals are still amazing despite being over 11 years old by now. Probably the biggest name synonymous with motion capture performance is Andy Serkis. One of his most notable is his role as Caesar in the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy, with Serkis' performance being emotional and nuanced and helping to create a complex and intricate character. But one of the most iconic sequences in the series is enhanced by another actor, Tony Kebbell, who played Koba. In one scene, we see Koba finding the humans' arsenal, but the humans find him and he has to blow a raspberry to get out of being shot. The wondrous wizards at Weta then took the motion capture and added to it, but ran into an issue. Humans and chimps have very different muscles, and the use of a raspberry looks different coming from a chimp than a human. So the team scanned the motion of a raspberry and ran it through the muscles of a chimpanzee before combining it with Kebble's performance, and as far as raspberries go, it's a pretty good one. The Matrix is arguably one of the first films most known for the extent of its CGI, with people to this day referencing, parodying, or imitating the iconic slow-motion bullet dodging that is so synonymous with the franchise. How this move was made, however, was a series of cameras taking multiple images in front of, as you probably guessed, a green screen to make it look like they're moving in slow motion. The cameras are all in different positions, so when run together, it looks like the actor is moving in slow motion, but the position of the camera is what gives this effect. Practical effects are used throughout the movie, as well as with the use of deteriorating sets and strings to create action. The effects were combined in the scene where Neo and Smith fly towards one another with the actors attached to cables while the ring of cameras takes a series of images, which, when brushed up in editing, has that smooth, slick movement that we've become accustomed to. Like Marvel, DC have opted to use CGI in their movies in order to bring their characters to life. And although director Christopher Nolan usually opted to go with practical effects, there was one main instance he decided to use CGI: the character of Two-Face. After an explosion leaves Harvey Dent permanently scarred with half his face disfigured, we have to wait a few beats till we see Harvey's new look and his appearance as the villain Two-Face. The visuals are shocking and are extremely graphic, but instead of Nolan using typical practical effects, he decided to use CGI, mapping out half of actor Aaron Eckhart's face before the brilliant Batman artists turned Dent into Two-Face. But it isn't just the Dark Knight series where CGI is used to create iconic scenes. The DCEU outing Batman v Superman required VFX to make the showdown between the two heroes look as epic as possible, such as the rooftop showdown between the two, where Batfleck gives Supes a bat slap, sending the Kryptonian flying. But while a bat slap is pretty darn awesome, it didn't look as cool behind the scenes with the use of green screen and wires, which were used to actually send Superman actor Henry Cavill flying. The Last Jedi may be a controversial film among the Star Wars fanbase, with it being one of the most divided films in the saga, but there is one scene that almost every fan agrees is awesome: the throne room scene. After Snoke is cut down, Rey and Kylo Ren engage in a raid-style fight sequence against Snoke's guards as they look to break out of the throne room. But the scene looked very different beforehand, with Andy Serkis again providing a crazy motion capture performance. The actor is covered in both motion capture and prosthetic equipment and is somehow more menacing than the finalized Snoke himself, as he gives Rey the stare down of her life. What makes the scene more impressive, though, is that the background is actually red as opposed to green. But maybe that's just because I'm starting to see green every time I close my eyes now. Ah, Beauty and the Beast. Probably one of the most romantic and enchanting movies out there, with the story between Belle and the Beast being unforgettable. Their relationship culminates in one of the most iconic sequences, the dance scene, with the belle of the ball dancing with Belle. The live-action movie faithfully recreates the moment in an emotional and touching scene, but it doesn't quite look that way behind the scenes. While Emma Watson is dressed in her Sunday best, or presumably just her everyday clothing because Emma Watson is just classy, her co-star Dan Stevens doesn't look quite as dashing. In fact, instead of looking like the typical heartthrob that he is, he's kitted out in a large, bulky, gray motion cap suit that makes him look like a long-lost relative of the Teletubbies. It is a testament to their acting skills, with Dan Stevens acting in a hot, unflattering mocap suit and Emma Watson acting like that's totally normal. Then again, I guess it is slightly more normal than a Buffalo Wildebeest hybrid, but that's besides the point. Speaking of Emma Watson, the Harry Potter series has never shied away from the use of CGI and special effects to bring the wizarding world to life. But that went into levels of overdrive in the spin-off series Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, with more green being seen than a country field in Ireland to create the magical creatures. One of the trickiest scenes to shoot was the scene in Newt's case, where we see his collection of rare and mythical fantastic beasts, a place where Hagrid would have felt like a kid in a candy shop. An example of the terrific trickery provided by the VFX team is the moment where we see the Griffin, which was created with actor Eddie Redmayne performing with a prosthetic griffin head for eye contact, copious amounts of green screen, and nothing else. No wonder he's an Oscar winner. So which is your favorite scene? Which scene did you find most shocking without CGI? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to ScreenRant for more behind-the-scenes action.